All right, coming to you live from OSCON, and this is Barton George with Andrew Parker of Puppet Labs. Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, first of all, just quickly, what is it that you do for Puppet?
I'm the team lead on the kind of what we call the core platform team. It's the team that takes care of Puppet itself and Factor and Hyra.
Cool. And so, for those folks who aren't aware of Puppet, how would you explain it?
So Puppet is a server automation configuration management tool. You describe the desired state of a server in the Puppet language, and then the Puppet agent applies that to your system. So it takes a look at the packages installed, the files that are there, what directories exist, users, groups, all sorts of different things like that. And it takes what you described you wanted, looks at what's truly there, and starts taking remediating action. So it'll install packages, it'll create users, put files into place, set the contents of those files, do all of that to make sure that the server is actually what you want that server to be.
And so now, you all put out a paper, gosh, maybe not even a year ago, 6 months ago on DevOps.
Yes.
How do you wrap DevOps into what you do?
Okay, so
you can answer it however you want.
How do we wrap DevOps into what we do? So DevOps is kind of a mentality shift of kind of like trying to break down those silos. And a way I love talking about this, so my background is much more as a developer. I did a little bit of system administration, but a way I love talking about this is that Puppet gives a way of those two different kinds of teams, like the development teams and the operations teams. It gives them a way of talking. It helps them break down those barriers and starts creating a way of communicating between them where the developers and the operations can start talking at the level of descriptions of the systems. So they can collaborate on creating these Puppet manifests that describe truly what it is that they think that they're working on. And so then the developers have a common understanding with the operations folks on what is the server platform that they're truly targeting. And so developers now get to work and debug and test out on the actual production platform as the operations understands it should be configured, and then they can also communicate along what they want to change so that the operations folks can understand that, rather than random shell scripts or snippets of email that try to describe it.
And so you and I were talking a little bit about this before, but the target that you focus on, to what extent is it operations? To what extent are they developers? And do you ever talk to the business about this?
So what we found is that for the most part, Puppet is very popular with operations folks, and developers find it very interesting, but they're just not as exposed to it. For the business, I'm not quite sure I understand the question. So,
but if you're going to talk to folks, it's people who are, say, not on the technical side, but who may be pulling have the purse strings for it. Do you ever go and talk to those folks, or you sell it by talking to the ops or the dev guys, as opposed to business unit folks?
I think it's a bit of both. Of course, we have to talk to the business units folks. They, as you said, hold the purse strings, but it's a thing of technology adoption. You have to have it at the ground level. They have to buy into it and understand how it's truly going to help them. And then it can flow up in terms of this, they want it to help them. And then it can also go the other direction as long as it's everywhere, that they flow down and they say, we've got this wonderful tool that we think can help you guys out, and we'd like to present it to you. So it, of course, has to go everywhere.
And what do you see going forward as we get into a cloudier world? How do you see Puppet and other tools like it expanding or changing?
So one of the challenges for Puppet in a world like that is our security model needs to work better with these machines that come and go on flip of a switch. They're there and then suddenly they disappear. And we've got some ideas for that. So that's one thing that changes is how do you know that you're actually talking to something that should be part of your network? The other thing that changes for us is, of course, speed. These machines might be there for half an hour or an hour at most, and then disappear. So if it takes Puppet too long to configure that, well, that's lost time. It needs to happen as fast as possible. So kind of security, speed, are at the moment, I think in our vision, the biggest bottlenecks for that kind of thing right now, and the things that we need to tackle.
Awesome. Andrew Parker, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.